It is currently 4 in the morning right now, and I did not give myself enough time to work on this because I had been listening to my neighbors talk about the way our perceptions are heard. It all started when one of my neighbors and I had a bickering over my interruption from their train of thought. It was later explained to me that their perception of what I chose to do made them feel a way that I understood. Together, we both went in a circle about how, at the end of the day, we understood each other despite the contention. Our other neighbors had difficulty catching up and kept on asking questions regarding on how they perceived them and I. What had happened to me eventually happened to them. They bickered and eventually found common ground. I tend to choose my comforts over explaining how I feel to other people. At a certain moment in the conversation, I felt asked of my opinion on womanhood. I was uncomfortable, and I felt unsafe in the environment to discuss my opinions on womanhood, so I repeatedly declined to give them a response. Nor could I, because I was speechless. I was so overwhelmed that my body could not make sense of the question being asked of me. The time slot in which I was allowed to think was very short. It greatly upset me how I wasn't allowed the time to gather my thoughts, nor was I allowed to decline without feeling judged. When I expressed that to my neighbor, they were incredibly confused with how I got there and did not understand me. One other person was advocating for me, to which I agreed to half of what they were saying and disagreed with half of the rest of what they were saying. My disagreement with a lot of what was said throughout the night was received horribly. It was just as distracting as my interruptions. We eventually came to the conclusion to agree to disagree. This phrase had been said many times throughout the night, specifically by me. That alone may be my only takeaway from tonight, but that simply is not my problem. The only problem I truly face is whether or not what was said tonight will change me for tomorrow. The conversation itself was filled with raw emotion. That alone made me want to stay until 4:30 a.m. Out of curiosity alone, I stayed up to listen to 5 different people discuss the same thing over and over. Individual perception, and if we were all on the same page, whether or not we agreed. It brought me to a conclusion that this giant space rock that we call Earth is filled with humans and their thoughts. Because of the number of people, and because of the fact that I value my neighbors, I chose to stay. Even with all the negative criticism I receive and gave, I want to say my piece until I don't have anything else to say. I'm grateful to say that there is nothing left.